Can you hear me now? Oh, okay. I'm getting. Can you hear me now? It worked fine yesterday during our test. Can you hear me now? Oh, cool. There's not an echo or. Awesome. Okay. So I don't know what was going on. Hello, everybody. Sorry about that. I'm gonna go ahead and close this. Thanks to the hubby for figuring it out. Um, is the volume okay for everybody, or should I turn it up, turn it down? Okay, thanks, Anne. Um, Hello, everybody. Boy, there's a lot of people in here so far. I was just basically going to do a let's get to know everybody chit chat. Like I said in my posts, this is my 2-year YouTube anniversary. Um, it sometimes it feels longer, sometimes it doesn't feel like that long. So anyway, it's going to be very informal. I've never done a live before, so this is an experience for me. I did get a couple people asking me questions, but if you have any other questions you wanted to ask, please feel free to ask in the chat. Um, I will do my best to keep up with the chat, but most of you know that I have vision problems, so if I miss something, I apologize. But so we've got some people coming in that I recognize, and some people that maybe I haven't chatted with in comments too often. But I welcome everybody in here. So um, it's been quite the day today. So um, I want to say thank you to everybody who's here so far, but I also want to say thanks to Anne. Um, I know that she had another live she was doing, and she's kind of uh, helping me out there. But um, okay, hubby says I should turn it up a little bit. Let's see here.
Say something.
Is the volume okay now, or
It's very low. I've
it's
got
very?
my computer in the other room, and I'm listening to you, and you're very low, so I think you can turn it up.
Okay. How about let's see. If it gets too loud or not loud enough, please let me know. Anybody in the chat? Um, I'm actually really excited about this because um, a lot of you I know from comments back and forth on my videos, but I don't know much about some of you. So OCPC, yeah, I kind of wondered what that was, Anne, but got it. But yeah, it's good to see you all in here. I You're gonna see that I'm much more awkward in live stream than I am on my videos, just because um, if I say something that I don't like or whatever in my videos, I can just stop and do it over or edit it out, or so the volume is low but okay. Let's see. Let me turn it up a little bit more. Let's see. How about there? Is that a little bit better? I don't want it to like blast in anybody's ear. I don't see, it's not getting into the yellow yet, so let's move it up a little bit more. And some of you with your screen names, I'm gonna apologize ahead of time if I don't say it. Oh, thank you. That's good to know. If I don't say your name correctly, or if you prefer to be called something else besides what your screen name is, let me know. So it looks like if you're listening on the phone, it's still a little bit low, but on the computer, it's okay. I don't know how to fix that because I don't want to blast anybody's ear. So I apologize if it's still low. Um, huh. Sorry, Tammy. I don't know. We turned up just a little bit. I don't want to, like I said, thank you, Anne. I was telling them a little bit ago that it's weird. It doesn't really seem like 2 years. But you know what? It's been a journey. It's been an experience. So um, yeah. So Anne says her earphones are on. She can hear better. So let me see. Let me turn it up just a little bit more. Thank you. Is it? I'm gonna say Gayatri or Gayatri. I know we've chatted through comments back and forth, but I don't know if I'm saying your name correctly. But thank you. Um, so I got a few questions that people asked. Please hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up. Are you telling who are you telling to do that, Anne? Thank you. Thank you, Tammy. I appreciate it. Um, I can try to talk a little bit louder. Normally, I have my actor voice, um, so I don't have a problem with speaking louder. But like I said, I just don't want to blast anybody. Uh, oh, thank you. Um, Again, I apologize for being awkward. This is so strange to me. This live stream idea. Um, Thank you, Tammy. Um, so I don't know really how to run this, if we're just going to sit here and chit chat. If you want me to just go ahead and start answering some of the questions that some of you asked. Um, I did go ahead because I only was asked for like 4 questions. I went ahead and found some other questions, like, get to know you type questions on a website that I could go through. Um, Thanks, hubby. um, so I could go through those questions as well, but please feel free in the chat to ask any other questions. But that's basically what this live stream is going to be. Just, chit chat. Tell us why you started YouTube. That was actually one of the questions, Anne. So, okay, let's go ahead and start with that. I started probably like many other people when the pandemic hit, because we were all stuck home, not able to go out and do anything, and I started watching some YouTube channels, and to go a little back history, I don't know if I've talked about this too much in any of my videos, but hubby and I actually moved to New York from the West Coast um, for theater. But working the front of house, ushers, bartenders, all that stuff was never really what either of us wanted to do. We're both actors. Hubby is, actor, dancer, singer. He's actually performed on Broadway before. Um, but I had only done like, community type theater back home, and I did some like extra work in movies and um, television, but I did want to act. I did want to pursue acting, so that's why we moved out here. So fast forward to moving here to New York, I started going on some auditions, and I was completely unprepared for what to expect with these auditions because I didn't really have to do them out in California. Like I said, community theater was so different. Um, so I would go to these calls, these auditions, and I was so out of my element. Like, and it's the little stuff that bothered me, like um, the protocol. Like when you go into the audition room, um, do you shake people's hands? Do you know like what? How do you present yourself? Nobody tells you this, so I just it was really awkward for me, um, and the fact that I can act. I'm not so great of a singer. I'm not horrible, but I wouldn't call myself a singer. I can't dance, so I basically was very limited for what I can audition for. Hi, Michelle, and so I already had like a lot of strikes against me with the fact that all I could do was audition for pure acting roles. Um, and I'm obviously more of a character type actor. Like I wouldn't be going out for leads. It's just not the type of person. I don't fit that type of person. So um, it just was overwhelming, really overwhelming, and I stopped going on auditions. But I still wanted to be in that environment, so that's when I started working as a bartender in the theaters because at least that way I could still be in the setting of the theater. But unfortunately, I wasn't on the stage like I would prefer to be. But it was too intimidating for me. So I know I'm making this story much longer than it needs to be. But so when the pandemic hit, I thought, I was watching these people on YouTube, and I thought, well, that actually seems like a great opportunity for me where I could, you know, film my own videos and put them out there. Granted, it was just started as pure unboxings because that's kind of what I started watching. But that's yeah, I thought that's my opportunity to be on camera, on screen. The pressure was off because I was filming. It wasn't live like today is. So I didn't feel nervous because I could just film. And like I said, if I make a mistake or say something I didn't want to say, I would just edit it out. Um, so it was a much more relaxed way for me to put out videos. Yes, hubby? Yeah, I. Hubby's telling me that I'm not looking at the right spot, but I'm trying to make sure that I keep an eye on the chat as well. So I can't multitask as well as you. He's used to streaming because he streams his games on Twitch, and so uh, he's more used to the live streaming aspect. And like I said, I'm worried that I'm gonna miss something in chat, so I'm looking down there. Thank you, Anne. I could say the same about you and your hubby since I actually got to meet both of you. Um, that was really fun times. So I'm so glad that we were able to do that. Our Atlantic City trip. Um, but yeah, so that's basically why I started. Don't worry about it. Um, that's why I started YouTube, and it's just continued from there. I do hope to eventually, um, become a monetized channel. That would be obviously my goal. It's going slower than I hoped it would, but you know, I think um, growing slowly is probably better than growing too quickly because um, I think in my mind, this is what I'm telling myself, the retention will be better if you grow slowly because that means people are really subscribing because they enjoy, the personality and everything. So let's see. I'm looking at the chat a little bit here. Thank you, Tammy. Michelle says, I have been a bartender for 20. Oh, okay. Um, yeah. So, bartending in a bar or a club is definitely much different than bartending in the theaters. Um, First of all, I wouldn't call what I did bartending. We were concessions. Um, you know, I didn't really have to have the knowledge that a bartender would have to have in terms of all the different drinks. And the other thing about bartending in the theaters too is you have very like limited time periods that you're going to serve. So you've got, like the walk-in before the show starts where people can go and get their drinks. And then when the show starts, most theaters, most shows, the bar closes. You can't go get drinks and concessions while the show's going on. So um, you've got the walk-in before the show, and then you've got, the 15-minute intermission to try to get through everybody that's in your lines. And that's it. That's all you have. So um, let's see. Ugh, we need to ban somebody here. I don't know who this ganja man is, but I don't like that comment. I don't know how to ban people, but let's see here. Let's see if I can get rid of. Statements like that are not welcome in this chat. I don't know, unfortunately, how to get rid of it. Anne, do you know how to, how I can ban anybody? Actually, maybe hubby can come in here and because that's ridiculous. That's uncalled for. This ganja man.
I know. I saw it.
Yeah. You know what? Everybody has a right to their own opinions, but you don't want to like. It's uncalled for to come into somebody's stream and make statements that are hateful like that. That's ridiculous, and it's not welcome here.
Keep going. I'm going to try to do this in the background.
Hubby is trying to figure out how to block him while I'm continuing on. So, yeah, I know that you guys will ignore it, but it's still like that. I want to just get that out of the chat. That's not welcome here. You guys all know how I am here. That like that just attitudes like that are ridiculous. And people like that have to be so unhappy with their lives to to do something like that, to come in and unwelcome and make comments that are that ridiculous and that hateful. But unfortunately, that's kind of where a lot of our country is turned to. I don't want to get into politics because I want this stream to stay, positive and happy. But yeah. Anne says hit the avatar. I tried, yeah. It's not doing it.
Hold on.
Yeah. I think he's getting it there. Is it a left click or should I hit control? Sorry, folks. Should I? Go ahead and try it.
No.
Yeah. All right. Well, while hubby's trying to figure that out, I'll just continue to go on. So, I can still see the chat, and he'll work on trying to get rid of that. Luckily, the person only made the one comment because I guess realized that they were in an environment that wasn't going to accept that. So, And again, that's very cowardly, don't you think? Um, to come in and make one comment, in a chat where you're not even seen. Anyway, let's move on. Okay, so I was talking about the bartending, and yeah, so that's pretty much that was my YouTube story. And let's see what else. I'm gonna go back to some of the other. There were a couple other questions that were asked on my community post, and I want to look at those. Um, so Chris Rodriguez asked me. I hope you don't mind that I'm saying, who. I don't see Chris, so I don't know if they're here. But anyway, Chris asked, "What other jobs have you had before Broadway?" That could take a while. Let's see. What? Well, I think I mentioned this in. Yeah, I know, Anne. Thanks. Um, before we moved out here to New York, I actually was a school teacher out in California, and I taught at the middle school setting. I was a special education teacher. Um, I'll get to your question in just a minute, Michelle. Um, but I was a middle school special education teacher, and I did that for close to 10 years. I did work in the school setting before I was teaching. I worked as an assistant in the special ed department. So, like, I would be assigned to a special needs student, and I would work with that student. Um, I did have some interesting assignments when I was doing that. Um, but I'm going to keep saying I apologize for that ahead of time, too. But I can't help it. Now I've made myself aware of it. Now I'm going to, what was I saying? Yeah, special education teacher. I got burnt out because I found that, at least in my experience teaching, I don't know if anybody here has taught, is a teacher, has experience with any teachers, um, friends or family. But my experience was the system did not really care about what the students were learning. They wanted test scores to look good. Especially, it was across the board. It was whether you were in general education, whether you were in special education, didn't matter, the setting. Did you figure it out?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Been timed out and I made myself a moderator.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. So I didn't like teaching to the tests. I wanted to teach the students what I felt that they needed in order for their lives to be, uh, you know, more manageable. So, and it was really ridiculous because, like I said, I was teaching special education and I was teaching in a middle school setting. Some of my students had like development developmental delays where they were basically at maybe sixth grade, seventh grade, but um, their level was like maybe first grade, second grade, where they could barely write. How am I supposed to make sure that they pass a seventh grade exam? When they're still at a second grade level, I needed to teach to get it, so it was really frustrating. So that's kind of what I got burnt out, and I decided that I really didn't want to do that. I have mad respect for teachers, though, and people in education, because it's not really them. It's like the higher ups, it's the money. Like it's so ridiculous. But let's see. Nope. Must kids are disrespectful. It was tough, yeah, Michelle. It was also that was another thing too, because in special education, what I found a lot was that they would send a lot of students that were basically just behavior issues. And they would put them in special education to get them out of the general ed setting, where they really didn't have um, special education needs. They were they were able to function in the general ed setting just fine. They just, for one reason or another, they were behavior issues. So I didn't like that as well. But it is what it is. I did that, like I said, for a little over 10 years. Um, and then I when I met my husband out in California, I was still teaching. And so that's kind of what I when we talked about, moving for acting, that's kind of that really um, was a draw to me, because that's what I always wanted to do. I was in theater when I was in high school. I was in all the shows in high school. So that's really my passion, what I wanted to do. So I was happy to leave the education field, uh, and come out here. Unfortunately, I'm not doing what I really wanted to be doing out here in terms of acting, but I think I've come to accept that it's just not going to work out for me right now. So, but yeah, so I taught for a long time. And then before that, what were some other interesting jobs that I had? I, I've done some interesting things. I was a HIV pre and post test counselor at a battered women's homeless shelter for a couple of years. I worked with a friend of mine where we basically counseled people. They would come in to test to see whether they were HIV positive or not, and you go through the whole like counseling session, asking them why they feel that they may have been exposed, and then of course you draw the blood, and then you have to do the follow up once the results come back. And that was interesting because, like I said, I worked at hi Sandra. Um, I worked primarily at a battered women's homeless shelter, so I had some tough cases. I know one woman that I was testing. Usually, when it was time for me to draw their blood, I would tell them to make a fist with one hand and put the fist under the elbow of the hand that I was drawing the blood from, so that I would have a straight surface. And I asked this one woman to do that, and she says, "Nope, I want to keep this hand free, because if you miss, I'm going to punch you." I should have said, "Okay, then I can't draw your blood. You'll have to be tested somewhere else." But I did it. Luckily, I hit her vein the first time, and she was like, "Oh, that actually was not bad." And I'm thinking to myself, "Yeah, I didn't have a choice. I didn't want to be punched." So, um, I remember during that job too, like we would go and test. Because I lived in California, I worked near a beach, and so we would actually go to the beach, and on the the boardwalk of not the boardwalk, but the sidewalk near the beach, we would test there, and there were a lot of people coming to test that were intravenous drug users, so like their veins were shot, and so it was interesting to try to get blood from them. A lot of times I just basically set everything up and told them, you put the needle in where you think you can get the blood, because they were so used to sticking needles in themselves that they kind of knew the area that they could go. So that was interesting, very interesting. That was also very draining too, because thank goodness I didn't have to give too many positive results out. But yeah, the stories that you hear, I had to counsel one young female. She was not even of legal age. I want to say she was like 14 when she came in to test, and unfortunately she was sexually assaulted, which was why she was testing. So you get those hard cases like that. and it kind of wears on you, burns you out as well in a different way. So, um, but yeah, it's another job I've had. Um, I've had some other crazy jobs that maybe I'll get into in another live another time. But let's kind of move on here. Um, so I know that Michelle had asked, I think it was Michelle that had asked a question back in, let's see. Oh, yeah, Michelle asked, have you lived in New York? Yeah, right, Anne? It was tough. It really was tough. Michelle asked how long I've been in New York. We've been out here, I think, almost 10 years now. Yeah, I think it's been close to 10 years. So it feels like we've been here much longer. Kind of feels like I've always lived here. Um, I do miss the West Coast, especially the weather out there. I was not prepared for um, the fact that New York actually has all four seasons, because in California we had summer and spring were basically the only two seasons we really experienced. So um, I do miss that. I do miss having a car, kind of. Out in California, you really have to have a car. Here in New York, I would not buy a car because the subway system is so much more advanced here than it was out in California, and you can get pretty much anywhere through subway or buses. So let's see. How long have you been into subscription boxes and what you got? Okay. Yes. So Hubby reminded me. Tammy asked how long I've been into subscription boxes. I actually only just started getting the subscription boxes when I started my channel. So I think the first subscription box that I ever bought was BoxyCharm, and it was because I had watched people unboxing BoxyCharm on their channels. Um, and so it was when I started my channel, so it would have been just 2 years now. I had, when I first started, um, I was I was getting, my finances were better when I started, even though it was during the shutdown. So I had a lot more subscriptions coming to me than I do now. Um, Now I pretty much have limited my subscriptions to two right now. Basically, I'm getting Ice Cream Beauty, which many of you already know, and I'm actually going to be canceling my Ipsy and switching it to Mindful Souls, which I did unbox a while ago on my channel. I really did enjoy Mindful Souls box. It's like a if you're not familiar with Mindful Souls, it's more of like a wellness box, spiritual box. Um, they have like a lot of um, crystal jewelry, um, different things along that nature. And I started to get overwhelmed with the amount of jewelry that I was getting with them, so that's why I canceled them. But I'm gonna go back to them because um, I Ipsy's been okay, but I haven't really been excited about getting my Ipsy bags lately. And my beauty products, I have way more beauty products than I know what to do with at the moment. So, yeah, we'll put that in there. Hopefully, the Mindful Souls box will be interesting to some of you. But if not, let me know in the comments when I start filming those videos, because I do, appreciate what a lot of you have to say, and um, my channel is basically for you guys. So I used to love Boxy and Ipsy, but not anymore. I'm taking a break. So yeah. I haven't done Boxy in a while, but yeah, I kind of feel like the choices we've been getting for Ipsy haven't been that great. My last Ipsy bag, if you haven't seen that video yet, actually wasn't too bad of a bag. I got that Natasha Denona palette in there. Actually, I'm sitting like right next to all my makeup here. So, yeah, this was the, oops, this was the Natasha Denona palette I just got in Ipsy, which actually I liked, but I did get another Natasha Denona palette from them in another box. It was this one, which I haven't really used, but so I've got those two, and even though I've been getting these subscriptions for a while, it still kind of blows my mind that some of the price of some of these makeup products, like those palettes that I just showed you, most of you probably know that those sell for like $48 each for 5 shades. I mean, yeah, it's a good formula, but I really think that that's way overpriced. Tammy says she gets ice. Yeah. Yeah, I agree, Tammy. So yeah, I like Ice Cream Beauty better than Ipsy. I also like the fact too that um, with it's like a double-edged sword, I guess. I don't know if I'm using the correct analogy, but with Ipsy, the fact that you get your 5 items and you get to choose 3 of the 5 items is a good thing on one hand, but then on the other hand, I don't like the fact that you know everything you're getting ahead of time, because unbagging it or unboxing it isn't so much of a surprise, and that's part of uh, what attracted me to subscription boxes is, the kind of the thrill of not knowing what you're going to get, and it's like opening up presents on Christmas or your birthday and all that kind of stuff. So um, I do like the fact that you get to choose, but at the same time I kind of wish that I didn't know what I was getting ahead of time, if that makes sense. um, yeah, I got that in Ipsy too, and I have the one with the, yeah. So yeah, I think somebody else asked. Since we're kind of talking about makeup here too, I do know that somebody else asked me. Um, oh, Anne, not just Anne. Anne Marino asked me if you could only pick one makeup palette to use forever. Never hits pan. What? Uh, which one do you pick? Okay, Anne, no worries. Um, I think because I thought about that because I looked at the questions before. Wanted to have an idea. It, I have 2 answers for this. One of my answers, I keep looking over here. Sorry, because I have these shelves where I have some of my like favorite palettes displayed. So one palette, the palette that I would use all the time, strictly because I like the formula and I like the color story, is probably Jeffree Star's um, Pricked palette. I do love the oranges and the earth tones in that palette. I love the formula, so I would probably go with that one in terms of formula. But the other one for sentimentality, I'm not going to say the word right. Sentimental reasons, I would probably pick. Let me see. I think I can. It's up there. I don't want to. It's a palette that I got a long time ago from Besame Beauty, and it's I Love Lucy palette. It's the Club Babalu palette, and I haven't really used the palette. Um, the color story is fine. The formula is okay, I guess, but the sentiment behind it, I have. It's gonna sound stupid. I love Lucy, and this was something that I shared with my mom. My mom loved the I Love Lucy television series. I would watch it with her all the time, and this is going to sound kind of pathetic on my part, but when I was in high school, if I had free periods, I would actually come home for those periods or at lunchtime or whatever, and I would watch I Love Lucy with my mom. We either watched I Love Lucy or we watched Days of Our Lives. So, um, but I just really like hold on to those memories, and so anything having to do with I Love Lucy, just has those memories behind it. Unfortunately, my mom did pass away back in 2001. I want to say 2000 or 2001. Can't believe that I can't remember the exact year. But just to kind of show you how, or illustrate how much Lucy meant to both of us, the night that I got the phone call from my father that my mom had passed, obviously I couldn't. It was late in the night, and we were already in bed, and I couldn't go to sleep after that, obviously. So I went out into the living room and I just started putting on the I Love Lucy VHS tapes that I had and just started watching episodes, and it kind of helped me cope with that. So anyway, not to put a downer on this. So, but those are the two palettes: the I Love Lucy Club Babalu palette from Besame. Is it Besame? I think that's the company. Um, and then the Jeffree Star Pricked palette. Let's see. Let me try to catch up here with. Yeah, yeah, I agree with you, Michelle. Let's see, Tammy, I agree. Yeah, Slay Glam box this month also. I actually have been considering the Slay Glam box as well. Ever since Anne started unboxing it again, seems like it's a good subscription. So you, I'm afraid of messing. My hubby was telling me to grab the palettes to show you, but the pricked palette is behind everything. I can get that. Most of you guys know what the pricked palette looks like. Let's see here. He's gonna make me undo the. Oh, so I don't. Let's see. There we go. Here's the pricked palette from Jeffree Star, and his packaging is always so great too. So for those of you that may actually not know what this palette looks like, sorry about the mirror there. But this is the palette. Let's see here. Am I getting that right? Yeah. So I do like the color story on this a lot, and the formula is really nice. And then let's see if I can get the Club Babalu one. Okay. So let's see. That one is gonna go back there. And then I'm sorry, I've got to stand up for a minute to get the Club Babalu. Ah. So this is the I Love Lucy Club blah, 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 excuse me, Club Babalu. Which palette are you referring to, Tammy? This is the Club Babalu from Besame. Yeah, it's Besame. I don't have my glasses on, but yeah, it's Besame. And then the color story in this one is I've swatched it, but I haven't used it. So, but that's the color story in there. I've only really swatched this one. But again, this one is more sentimental to me, so maybe I'll try like in a future video. I'll try to do an eye look with this palette, because why hold on to it if I'm not going to use it, right? I don't know. I'm sure that I'm not the only one that does that. Do any of you have makeup products that you have and you don't use just because there's some kind of special meaning behind it? Tammy says the one before. Okay, the one before was Jeffree Star's Pricked palette. It comes in this fun packaging. Hey, Jenna. Let's see. And that was the color story in it. So. All right. I will put everything back up later. With that, the thing that fell as I was getting the I Love Lucy palette down. Thank you, Jenna. I was something I got. The I Love Lucy came as a bundle. Let me grab this other. All right. So the other two things that I got with that I Love Lucy palette was this. Oh, you're gonna see this I Love Lucy compact powder. So, which again I don't use, so I don't really know how the formula is. But again, I keep it just for the packaging. And then this bullet lipstick, which I don't know how well you're actually able to see. And it's not really a color that I would use too often, but I do like the package. So yeah. Yes, thanks, hubby. All right, so let's see what else. Whoops. What else was I talking about other than that? Yeah, I think I asked. You're welcome, Tammy. Again, if I miss anybody's comment, I apologize. See, go back to Just Dan said my mom's favorite show is Law and Order. I catch myself watching it a lot. Yeah. So yeah, I'm sure you guys all know, have the same thing in with different things. I Love Lucy classic. Yeah, it is. It's something that never gets old. It never, it never really ages. Even though I don't even. I, I'm gonna sound ignorant here because I don't know when when it took place. I want to say was it the 50s and 60s? I'm not sure. Um, could be earlier than that. I don't know. I think I want to say the 50s or 60s. If I'm wrong, correct me in the in the chat. Um, but yeah, it just doesn't get old. Like her physical comedy was I think the best. Like I haven't really seen any current actors that really were able to do the type of physical comedy that she did. Yeah, she was amazing. So I thought the whole cast. I loved Ethel. I loved Vivian Vance. I thought the pair of them, they had great chemistry together. You really believed that they were good friends. And anyway, I don't need to jabber on about I Love Lucy, but um, let's see what else here. Before I go to any of the other questions that people asked, we'll see. So Jenna actually asked on when I did my YouTube post. She asked, "What is your favorite memories?" So that's definitely one thing. Thank you, hubby. 1951 to 57. So I was right. 50s, 60s. 60s is a little bit later, but maybe some of the subsequent um, shows, spin-offs happened then. But yeah, so favorite memories would definitely be watching any episode of I Love Lucy, really. Like I said, I also watched Days of Our Lives. If any of you are soap opera fans out there, I don't watch it anymore. But I watched it throughout high school. That was something else that I shared with my mom. So that's also kind of a fond memory. I remember we went at one point. The soap operas out where I lived, they were having like a softball event where a bunch of actors from the different soap operas went and they played like a softball game together. So I went there with, my mom, and we got to meet some of the actors from the show, which was fun. I got some of their autographs, and I think I still have those autographs. I had like just some of them are in a book and some are just like on pieces of paper, but I think I still have them somewhere, oddly enough. But yeah, that's another fun memory. Yeah, so let's see what else. I think those are the ones that everybody asked on my community post. Like I said, I did find a website that has just like general or different types of get to know you questions that we can go through. Um, if nobody has really anything else that they want to ask specifically in the chat, if you do, just type it in. One of my husband's favorite memories is watching soap opera. Yeah, yeah, it's obviously um, the memory of the soap opera itself isn't what sticks in my head. It's just that time that I got to spend with my mom. She was she was more than my mom. She was one of my best friends. She was always the first person that I would call on the phone when something happened, any kind of event in my life. She was the first person that I would call. And actually, there were times where when my mom was still alive, I was actually, before I was with my current husband, I was married prior, and I was with my ex for 16 years. And so my mom actually did know my ex. Unfortunately, she never got to meet Paul, but she had passed away before we met. But she knew my ex, and there were times when I actually would call my mom when I was with my ex before I would even tell my husband at the time what was going on. So we had that close of a relationship. So her her passing did hit me very hard. Obviously it's a little bit easier to talk about it now because it was so long ago. But yeah, but that's um. What else? What else? I have a very I can talk about kind of a traumatic memory. If anybody's interested in hearing that. This is not so traumatic now. At the time, it was. I had a friend. This was just out of high school. I had met somebody when I started community college and became like fast friends with her, and she was, yeah, right, Jenna. Um, she was kind of the type that attracted trouble wherever she went. She liked to live in the drama. I have really never been that type of a person. I try to stay clear of drama. I just like there's other things that I want to focus on in my life, and I don't like worrying about drama. Um, but she was living with her husband, well, her fiance at the time, and they had this girl living with them. Now again, we were all just out of high school, within a few years of each other. So we're young. You know, I don't even think any of us weren't even 20 years old at the time. And the girl that she was living with evidently had a daughter, had a young daughter, and my friend didn't have a car at the time, and her fiance only had a motorcycle. So the friend told her that she wanted to go get her daughter. She left her daughter with her parents until she could, get settled and then go and get her. So my friend had asked me if I would drive them to go pick up the daughter, and I didn't think anything of it. I was like, okay, not a problem. So I went over and picked them up, and it was me, my friend, of course the girl, and then my friend's mother had also come along because she was living with them as well. And we had to drive. It was a drive. It was probably like, I want to say maybe an hour and a half to 2 hour drive from where we were. And it was kind of out in the middle of nowhere. And as soon as we started getting out there, I should have my red flags should have started going up. But when we got to the place, the girl got out of the car. She went into the house to what I assumed was to get her little girl. Evidently, the little girl wasn't there. We later see a truck driving up, and it's the girl's parents that were coming back from a bar. And they had the daughter, the little girl, in the truck. They brought the little girl, the baby, to the bar that they went to and left her in the truck while they went in to drink. This is their granddaughter. And so the friend went and she got her girl and she put her in the car. And of course, like, I'm already, like, in my head, I'm kind of freaking out because I'm like, what the heck is going on here? And so she gets everything in the car, and then the father gets out and he's like pounding on my window, yelling at us. And so I took off because I was like, I'm not going to get, I'm not going to get in a physical altercation with anybody over this. So we drove, and they followed us in the car for a while. Luckily, I saw a police station, and I went ahead and pulled right into the police station. And as soon as I did that, the grandparents took off and went back. But it was nuts. So I wish that I was never put in that situation, but in another sense, I'm glad that I was able to at least help her get that little girl out of that situation, because, that the poor thing, like, if she's literally going to be taken by her grandparents and left in a truck while the grandparents go into a bar to drink and party, like, that's not cool. Like that. Anyway, so that was a pretty, like, at the time, traumatic experience for me. I am no longer friends with this girl. She had moved on, and yeah, it was really scary. It was, but I hope that the little girl, she's not a little girl anymore, but I hope that she's okay. Because I do know that it was quite a whole mess. Like, there was a lot more going on than that, and I won't get into that here, but maybe in another story time, another time I'll talk more about that. But anyway, that was like one of the more traumatic moments, memories that I have. Yeah, it's very, very sad. This wasn't in New York. This was out in California. I didn't move here to New York until I was in my late 30s, and I just turned 48. So, um, yeah, it's very wrong. It's those grandparents should have been, the law should have been called on them, and they should have been taken in. But I don't know what happened with them. Hubby's redirecting me, but I don't know what question I was previously asked. So was I answering something before that I veered off into? If I detoured too much from a question that I was answering, let me know in the chat because I don't remember what it was. I don't know how much longer we need to be on here too because I have, looks like I've got 4 viewers and I know one of them's the hubby. 5 viewers now. And I've been live for about an hour. So I don't want it to be too long, but if there's any other questions anybody wanted to ask me, feel free. As you probably have already guessed, I'm willing to answer most questions. Obviously, I don't want to answer anything that would put my safety in jeopardy. But yeah, Jenna, I actually did mention that I think before you joined us. I do sometimes wish that I was back in California. I do miss the weather. I miss, of course, my friends out there. My life was sorry, I'm distracted by the chat. I've enjoyed this. Thank you, Tammy. I appreciate it. This has been a lot more enjoyable than I anticipated. I was very nervous coming into this live stream, but you guys have been very, very good to me. You are in my videos too. So for those of you that watch my videos and comment on my videos, you're always very supportive of me, and I appreciate that a lot. But yeah, no, I just it was California. Let's see. I do miss the weather. My life was very different out in California than when we came here to New York. When I first met my hubby out in California, I met him at a club at a country western. It was kind of country western. It was a club that did like 2-step line dancing every night. They had like karaoke upstairs, and so I met him at that club. I used to go to that club very, very frequently, like many times a week, because I had divorced my ex and was trying to get myself back out there. And so I would go there a lot. So I did enjoy, even though I can't dance if my life depended on it, I did enjoy learning the different line dances, and I do enjoy doing karaoke. Like I said, even though I don't really consider myself a singer, I did enjoy doing the karaoke, and I didn't really get the singer genes, I guess. My father was an opera singer. He actually did professional opera for a while, but nope, I can't. So anyway, I think that we probably should think about ending the chat because my mind is like, I keep like losing my train of thought mid-thought, and so I think maybe it's yeah. Yeah, thank you, Jenna. I'm very grateful. Believe me, I learned a lot from my ex, and I think the lessons that I learned from my ex have helped make my current marriage a much better marriage. For the most part, communication. You need to communicate with your partner. I didn't do that so much with my ex, so that really makes a huge difference, and it keeps things better overall. So anyway, I think I'm gonna go ahead and end here, unless anybody else has a question that they want to ask me before we end. Yeah, thanks, and I'm glad too. Now that I've got the first one done and out of the way, I will feel more comfortable doing more in the future, and I think I'll prepare for them a little bit better. Maybe do some live like get ready with me type videos and all that kind of stuff. But thank you, Jenna. So I'm going to go ahead and probably close out here. I do appreciate everybody that stopped by. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate you supporting me these 2 years. Um, and yeah, I will look forward to, you know, hearing from you in my videos in the future and any future live streams that I do. Um, so thank you. All right, I'm going to go ahead and head on off, but I hope everybody has a good night, and thank you for joining me. Take care, everybody.